Hello, we are Group 22 and this is our report on the online clothing retailer Philip Normal. We will start by looking at Philip Normal's business model, followed by discussing the strategic value of IT to the business. We will then create a possible ER diagram, translate this into an Access database, and follow up with an SQL query for the site. To finish, we will suggest a couple of changes Philip Normal could make to improve their website. Philip Normal is an online clothing retailer established in London in 2012. The business targets young adults, specifically the 18 to 28 market, with a unique sense of style. Items are sold through its multi-channel e-commerce websites, the Philip Normal website, and the ASOS marketplace. As ASOS targets the 20-something fashion lovers, the business is streamlining its sales channels to its target audience to maximize sales. Philip Normal forms customer relationships through the business's strong presence on social media. The brand promotes through its Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook accounts. The business also creates customer relationships through excellent pre- and post-purchase service, as shown through the ASOS Marketplace's customer feedback, where Philip Normal holds 100% customer satisfaction rating from over 900 customers. Philip Normal sells goods in 15 different categories, which are various subcategories of clothing, accessories, and homeware. Key partners include their own suppliers and manufacturers, and the business also acts as a stockist for 7 other brands. The fact that Philip Normal is an e-store means that they rely heavily on IT in order to remain competitive. By selling online, and particularly through an e-store with as much traffic and many customers as ASOS, Philip Normal can encompass a global customer base in their strategy. The fact that Philip Normal uses ASOS as a stockist means their respective target audiences of 18 to 28-year-olds and 20-somethings are streamlined, resulting in a competitive advantage. The increase in emoji popularity has led to the brand's unique selling point, becoming the usage of emojis on their clothing. The business creates value by using popular cultural elements when designing their clothes, leading to a unique concept that larger competitors have not yet incorporated. This would indicate that Philip Normal is following Michael Porter's differentiation strategy by creating products that most other clothing stores do not provide. Philip Normal utilizes Web 2.0 in order to create positive customer relationships and maintain a competitive advantage. The business uses Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to maintain communication with customers, which is particularly effective with their target audience of young adults, as this group of consumers are the largest users of social media. Philip Normal also consults customers when making product decisions, which introduces a customizability element to the customer and gives Philip Normal the ability to ensure that it is delivering according to what its customers want.
Now moving on to the ER diagram. This is the proposed entity relationship diagram for Philip Normal. ER diagrams are made up of entities and attributes and illustrate the relationships between entities. There are 7 entities in this diagram: customer, item, product, order, invoice, payment, and deliverer. Within entities are attributes, and within attributes are primary keys. A primary key is a unique identifier, and in this case it's customer ID. The rest of the attributes are secondary keys. The relationships between entities can either be one-to-one, one-to-many, or many-to-many. So for example, customer to order is a one-to-many relationship, as customers can have many orders, but an order can only have one customer. Similarly to deliverer to order, as deliverers can have many orders, but an order can only have one deliverer. However, order to product is a many-to-many relationship, as an order can have many products and a product can have many orders. We try to stick to one-to-many, as otherwise it can get too complicated when trying to make a database. To solve this, an intermediate entity is put in to split up and create a one-to-many relationship. In this case, the entity item is used to split them up. The same had to be done with order to payment, as this was a many-to-many relationship, and an intermediate entity of invoice breaks it down to make it a one-to-many relationship. Now moving on to the Access database. So what is a database? Well, it's an integrated collection of well-defined data and information created and stored in a typical structure for an organization. Databases are important in the 21st century for businesses, especially those such as Philip Normal, as they operate solely online, so all their data will be in a digital format, which means they will need a way to organize and control this data and present the information in a meaningful manner. Philip Normal's ER diagram gives basis and key information on building the original database structure, so it can be turned into this. As you can see, all the entities are on the side and have been made into tables. This is the product table, keeping track of all products, the customer table, keeping track of all customer details, the item table, which lists all items they have, the order table keeps track of all customer orders, the invoice table keeps track of all invoices, the payment table has all information on the final stage of the order, and here is the lookup table created for the deliverer entity, but slightly different from the ER as some attributes have been missed out to save data redundancy. Normalization is important in a database to keep it simple. All the data to do with each delivery method is collated within that record, so it still can be seen, but it's a more organized way of doing it. This is the SQL query performed within the database, and this is the results produced. We'll talk about the SQL more in a moment. Here is a relationship table which links two fields from different tables. A relationship consists of a primary key and a foreign key. If you look in the bottom right hand corner, there is a product table. Product ID in here is a primary key. If you look in the item table, there is also a product ID. This is a foreign key. Both the primary key and the foreign key must have the same number of fields and the same data type. Like in the ER diagram, relationships are defined as one-to-many, one-to-one, or many-to-many. Now on to SQL query. An SQL query is an inquiry into the database using the select statement. A query is used to extract data from the database in a readable format according to the user's request. Select represents the data in SQL, but alone means nothing. Other clauses are needed so it can function. From must follow after. This just tells the database which table to retrieve the data from. The last part of the SQL query is optional in all queries. Where allows all conditions to be set to get certain data back within the already selected table and columns. This is the SQL query used in the Philip Normal database. This basically translates as find t-shirts by the brand Philip Normal. Here is what it would look like if actually used on the website. So here is Philip Normal's main storefront. For the first part of the SQL query, t-shirts would have to be clicked under product type. And then clicking on Philip Normal under brand will list all t-shirts by Philip Normal. This completes the SQL query.
This section of the presentation will highlight some of the suggested improvements that have been made for Philip Normal's website. The first is to incorporate an additional information section, particularly an About Us section. This gives Philip Normal the opportunity to inform customers of what the business stands for and creates an emotional attachment which has been proven to increase purchase behavior. Black Milk Clothing have done this particularly well by creating an About Us section that tells the founder's story of success from humble beginnings and creates an emotional attachment between the founder and consumer. Philip Normal's FAQ section is also completely empty, which gives the website an unfinished, unprofessional look and may result in lost purchases. Another improvement to the interface that can be implemented would be to categorize and rearrange the overall layout. Currently, there are no gender filters on the website, which could lead to hesitant buyers. While many items are unisex, this does not apply to Philip Normal's entire product range, and as a result, adding gender filters as well as a unisex filter could create an easier shopping experience. Rip and Weave have managed to do this well with items that are suitable for men, women, or both. Another area of Philip Normal's web interface that could be improved is to incorporate motion graphics into the site, as the website currently has a static feel. It would also give the business an additional opportunity to market its popular products to a wide target audience. Revolver, another independent clothing company, have done this successfully as shown. If Philip Normal were to take these changes into consideration and implement them into their interface, it would give the business potential for growth in a variety of areas, such as expanding customer base, increasing customer loyalty, and potentially an increase in sales.